What's up guys, and welcome to this tutorial in integration testing. So in this tutorial I'm quickly going to go through some basic integration testing with Selenium IDE. And if you don't know what Selenium IDE, I suggest you head over to this webpage right here and read through it. I will put the link in the description later so you can check it out. And also you need to install this Firefox plugin. And just a heads up, it will not work in Chrome. You will need to install Firefox, and you will also need to install this browser plugin for Firefox. I mean, there might be other alternatives, of course, for Chrome, but not for Selenium IDE that's any good, at least to my experience. And this tutorial will be based on the IDE for Firefox. So I'm going to assume you have some kind of domain that you want to test. I'm going to use these Swedish event planners, and the website itself is really not important, but in abstractly speaking, you can log in with different roles. You can create events and stuff like that. We're gonna go through it later, so you'll see. And I also have like a database here with my users in. So you can see here I have a couple of different users that can do different stuff in the front end. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in so you just can see how the web page looks like. So in here I put my username and my password. I log in, and when I'm logged in, here on the side I have the menu, and right here I'm logged in as a customer service, as you can see here up here in the right corner. So if I click here, I can pick a customer, create a proposed budget with a description, and then the customer service manager will have to either accept or reject this proposal. And also the financial manager will have to have something to say about the budget proposals for this. And I'm just going to focus on the three first here to start with and see how it goes. So this is all you have to know about this particular domain. And if I try to do something else in here, like click on something else, let me go ahead and refresh the browsers need to hang. You're not allowed to do this, basically. So I can only do stuff that my user role is authorized to do. So now I'm going to log out and continue with integration testing. So I suggest, as the heads up, it is kind of annoying, at least on Mac, because you can toggle between this. So I suggest you do kind of setup as I have here, or if you have multiple screens, I suggest you put this one on the smaller screen and this one on the bigger. Just like a pragmatics, dogmatics of it. And what you do basically, you start it up, you put the base URL up here. So in my case, it's localhost and this port number. You can see it's like this right here. And also, if I go to this URL, it's my creates this end here. So you can ignore this part for now. And so you go to this URL and you put it up here. And then you can simply, right here in the right corner, you can click record. So if you click this, it's going to record everything you do on the website, and it's going to put all of the events right here. But it's not going to be a recording as in real-time recording. It's going to basically copy-paste in all the commands that you do. So if you click record here, you don't have to time everything and stuff like that. And that is actually a problem. But we'll see how that works later. So for now, I'm going to create a simple use case. I'm going to click right here. So I'm recording right now, and then you start up with a web page. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with this customer service that I showed you before, and I put my password in here. I click login. All right, so we're logged in. And this is actually our first integration test for checking that you can log in with the customer service. And if I look in the Selenium IDE right here, you can also see that it created a couple of commands here. This means command, target, and value. So mine is in Swedish, I'm sorry for that. And so I'm going to go ahead and cancel the recording so you can see it's not highlighted anymore. So the stuff that it did here, it's using the base URL and then it navigated to this sub URL. This might be applicable for you, but I don't think it will be. So I'm going to go ahead and right click here and delete this particular one, so you can see it disappeared. And also I'm going to go ahead and put it to the initial state so I can test it. So if I just make this a little bit smaller so I can see the screen in the background. So it created two events. It created a type command, another type command, and a click event. So you can test this this command separately. If you double click this one right here, you can see it filled in, like in the background, it filled in the email here for me. And if I do this with the password, it's going to do the same with the password. And if I double click this, it's going to click the button for login. And it didn't work because I think it's, I don't know, some kind of white space or something, I'm not sure. And let me see. Let's see. Yes, actually, this is what it is. A couple of times when you're working with this, it's behaving super strangely for some reason. One of the things that it does is you cannot use the type command. So instead, what you're going to do is you're going to use the send keys like this, and also with the second one, of course. So send keys, and also I'm going to go ahead. Oops, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out like this. So it's actually I can only just refresh the browser, I guess. So all right, so let's try it again. I click. You can see it also filled in exactly the same way as previously, and the same with the password. And now when I click, I should get logged in. So now it's working. So every time you have, when you do the recording, it's gonna want to do the type command. So you have to replace every type command with the send keys. If you have the same problem as me, of course, you might not. And yeah, so let's go ahead and log out again. So now I'm in the initial state. And what you can do, you have these two play buttons right here. So the first one here that has the 3 green lines is going to play the whole test suite for you. And this one is only going to play the actual test case that you're in. So right now I only have one test case, so it's actually the same thing at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. So as you can see, it filled in everything. All right. So how do we verify that we were actually logged in? And I don't know, maybe let's say that we change something up here. I'm not sure this will actually work, but I'm gonna try that. So let's say we have some value for the email. That's actually not correct. And let's go ahead and run it again and see what happens. So as you can see here, the test, you can see runs and then green one, right? Everything passed. The unit test or the integration test passed, but obviously it didn't work. So what you can do is you can do a verify in the end or like along the way that it's actually working. So if I go ahead and run this again, just to put it in the final state. Oops, sorry about this. Clear everything out and play it again. Okay, so now we're in the final state, right? And you can use a command that is called assert text that is asserting that some text is available in the UI in the DOM. So what you do here is you right click and then assert new command, and I already have one right here, and then you can type the assert text. You can also, if you like, you can also see that there is other asserts as well. So if you type assert and then use the drop down right here, or just use the drop down, you can see that there is like a lot of commands in here that you can use. But I'm going to use the assert text. And what you could do is sometimes you can do a record from here where you have highlighted if you want to continue with the recording. But in this case, I think it's easier to just select. I want to check that the welcome text is located right here because then I know I'm logged in. So in here with the target, I click select, and you can see you should get also this text line down right here. Sometimes for some reason you gotta like double click and something like that. I'm not sure why that is. So if I click here, you can see that something happened here in the background. It selected a target that is gonna check, and the value that I'm gonna check for, this means value, is welcome. I'm not sure if this is case sensitive, but I'm gonna assume it is. So now you can see that all these three are green. I'm in this state right here. So if I double click this, this should assert that the welcome text is present. And you can see it's green, so it passed. All right, so just to verify that that's the case, let's put something that is not there. So I put like some extra letter in here. Double click it, and you can see it fails. So this will help us making sure that we ended up in the right place. And also, by the way, I'm gonna check if it's case sensitive. Yes, it's case sensitive. So we need to have an uppercase here in this case. So now it passes. All right, so let's try it again. And all right, I'm gonna start from the top right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and play the suits. So as you can see, it failed, which might surprise you a little bit. But the reason for this is, I'm not sure if you noticed, but it was super fast and it just blinked. And the problem was that when it ran the assert text, the page wasn't actually loaded. So every time you do some kind of redirect or rendering in the UI, you need to wait just a little bit so it has time to render. And this can be a little bit tricky sometimes, because in one hand you want it to be fast, and in the other hand, so you don't want to wait like 20 seconds when it obviously can be done faster. But on the other hand, you also want to make it like pretty fast so you can run the whole test suite without like waiting forever. So you can have timing issues with the pauses. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click here and then insert new command. So you can see I get like a blank row in here, and the command is called pause. And the value for the target for this, sorry, is gonna keep the milliseconds that we're gonna wait. So I think a second will be more than suffice in this case. So, and yeah, that's all we have to do actually. So it's a little bit confusing because I wanted to put it in the value, but it should be in the target. So everything is like set up from the start, and so I'm gonna go ahead and run it. And now I can see it passes because now the DOM was rendered and everything was rendered in the UI when it did assert. So that's nice. And another issue that we can have is, I'm not sure if you noticed, but sometimes you might have stuff previously filled in. So let's, if I double click this, you can see that the password is in here, right? And if I run this now, it's not gonna work, because if I run send keys, it's gonna append to this. So you can see if I double click this, you can see it gets longer there in the background every time. So if I run this use case right now, it's gonna fail because it can't log in properly, and also the unit test, this integration test fails, of course. So yeah, it doesn't work basically. So what you will need to do is that every time you have a form that you want to use, you should clear the fields before you call the send keys. And this, I'm not sure why that is, but sometimes there can be timing issues with it as well. So up here at the top, I'm going to type the type command, and the target for this is going to be the exact same thing as this. I'm going to copy paste this and put it in here, and the value will be empty. And this is important because we want to clear everything out before we run it. So if I double click this right here, you can see it clears the username, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the password. And up here, I'm gonna type command, and the target for it will be the password, like this. All right, so let's double click every command, making sure that it's working. You can see it clears and fills and clears and fills. And I suggest you insert a. All right, now this. You can also, if you do like I did here, like you accidentally put the command on the wrong line, you can drag and drop it. So you can see I can drag it around. So I want it here instead. So in here, I'm gonna type a pause, and I'm gonna give it a second. And the same thing goes here. like this. So if I run it now, it should work. Let's see, send keys, pause. Actually, this should be here, I think. Yeah, right after the type, right? So let's try it out, see if it works. It did. All right, so this is our first integration test, and it's testing that you can log in successfully. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and I'm gonna create a new folder on my desktop. I guess tests, and in here I'm gonna create log in success. Right, so you can see it renamed it here as well, and so this is verifying that we can successfully log in. So also what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have proper error handling. So if you lose your Selenium IDE, as I did now, you can also click here so it pops up again. And I'm gonna go and create another one that's that's gonna be checking that if I put something wrong in here, like this, try to log in, it should show the error like faulty credentials. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this for now. And I'm gonna create a new test case. So I right click and new test case. And I think the easiest way is like, yeah, by the way, when you switch like this, you need to double click like this. So I think you can just select these and copy them and go in here and paste them. So instead of doing this, we should instead of asserting that you was logged in and you show a welcome screen, you're gonna need to change the asserts basically. So you remove the target and then you select this target here instead. You can see it highlighted and then I clicked it. So it selected a different target, right? And it should say, no, not like that. It should say faulty credentials. And then you of course need to give it faulty credentials. So I'm gonna remove one here so it's faulty. Or like even more obviously, I guess. Something like this. And let's go ahead and try it out. So I'm gonna refresh the browser. And first it clears, and then it pauses, and then it sends, and then it clears the password, it pauses, it sends the password. You can see it edited the faulty one right here, and then it clicks log in, you give the faulty credentials, it pauses for a second, and then you assert that you have the faulty credentials label. If you for some reason should have problems with the targets that is not working, you can try and select other targets right here. So let's see if this works. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Yeah, in this case it works, because sometimes these might be too general and you might want to give them something else. All right, so now we have another integration test. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and I'm gonna call it login error, like this. And the nice thing with this is that now we have this test suite of multiple integration tests that we can run in successive order. But like if I run the login right here, it's gonna do all the login, you know, you can see in the background here. So now it's logged in. So if I run the login error from here, so if I double click this and try to run here, it's obviously not gonna work because it's not in the right state on the site. So the easy way to do this is just like drag and drop them. So I try out the login error at first. So at first I run this and it fails. And then I run the other one, the success. And it works, you know. And so you can also be a little bit careful what you're doing, so you don't set the website in a state that will make the next integration test fail. So I'm gonna go ahead and log out and click on the login error. So what you can do is you can also use this, and this will play the whole test suite. So it will just run everything that you have here. So if I do this, you can see you might run into some problems. Well, actually it works, but yeah, maybe we'll get to that later. But let me think. Yeah, so one of the things that you can also run into, it's actually not a situation in this particular use cases because it doesn't even leave the page. But what can happen is when you run this, for example, when you run one of the tests right here, it might be so that the last one right here is doing a navigation to another page. And immediately after that, the next one is gonna start up. And it's gonna be run before it even have arrived to that new web page where it's supposed to be testing stuff. And the solution for this is really simple. I just right click the first one, insert new command, and then pause for 3 seconds. And this is what I usually do for all test cases. You should always start your integration, your tests with a pause. So I'm also going to go ahead and do this because I'm not sure this will actually always be run first. And of course you might need to tweak the numbers here, right? So also if you, let me see here if I can drag it down a little bit. And also one really helpful thing is that you can see that this file right here has a little star up in the corner, and that means that it's not saved. So if I double click this and hit Command S or Control S, you can see it saves. And another thing that you can do is you can go up here to Archive and let's see, we have save test cases, which saves every test case individually, but we can also save the test suite. So if I click here, I have the test suite basically for my whole application basically. So let me see if I can find my stuff right here. Yeah, whatever. So you can like here we are. So I usually call it suit or something. So if you close this down, I think it actually might. Yeah, so now it's empty. So you can of course open each individual test case if you like, but you can also open, now you can also open like the suite, open up the whole test suite, and you can create different suites for different kinds of testing and stuff like that. So I suggest you basically try and fiddle around a little bit with it, and eventually you're gonna figure it out. And beware of like timing issues. If you have problems with stuff, you can just try and put the pause there basically and see if it helps. And also one last thing that I want to show you is like this is a test case for another one, so I'm gonna open up the test cases that we use. If I open up these files in text editor, like I don't know, brackets or something, or if you have Notepad++, if you're on Windows or something, you can see that in here we actually have HTML. So you can see here pause 3. So it's actually just a description in a HTML format. So yes, that was all that I wanted to show you guys. I hope you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe on my channel so you get all kind of different videos. I also have a tutorial on PHP that I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, subscribe, and of course leave a comment. It's the only way for me to improve my videos basically. So thank you guys for watching, and see ya. Bye.